What preparation are you making towards this year's BEC? Hello, dear friends. Hello, candidates. Hello, teachers. The BEC is here again, and this is 2025. Now, as candidates and teachers, it's important to take note of certain key areas when it comes to the structure and how we should deliver our lessons, preparing towards the final exams. Last year, I did a video and I discussed the various substrands and the strands. I also spoke about the fact that some of the questions that we prepare ourselves with when it comes to mock exams and then our preparation in different forms towards the exams, the main exams or the final exams are not standard. So I try to point out some of the things that students or candidates should take note of, and then teachers as well should also highlight on those things and put the structure in a better position for all the candidates to have a thorough understanding of the things that they need to do. Now, today in this video, I'm going to talk about something different. So I would like you to get your books and the pens and make notes concerning what I'm going to put across over here. I've prepared another breakdown that will help all candidates to understand the concept very well, and it will serve as a roadmap that can help students understand what they are supposed to do when it comes to what they have to study in preparation toward mock exams and then also final year exam. And I'm doing this in the area of social studies. Now, you agree with me that the new curriculum is broad now. And yes, you can also agree that they have taken out some of the old things that we used to study with regard to the old syllabus. But the new introductions, talking about the substance, have made the entire syllabus very broad. And you have no other choice than to complete all of them before you write and sit for the final year exams. So far, GS has told us that we'll be writing the exams in June. And I know you students are good at doing a lot of countdown. So what is the preparation you are putting in? Now let's go straight into it. There are sections when it comes to answering social studies questions. These sections are three main sections, and you already know them because you answer a lot of questions in your mock exams and even end of term exams. There is a slight change where we have 5 questions now, and question 1 is compulsory. That is all substrands that fall under environment. Then we have the 2 and 3, questions 2 and 3 under the section 2, law, order, nationhood or nation building. Then we have section 3 where we have some topics also on social and economic development. So we are going to look at the substrands here. Now, why am I putting this across, or why did I do this breakdown? I realized that most students in preparation towards the exams are actually reading just a few of the topics or are not able to cover all the sections. We have a lot of topics under the environment, and the question that will come under environment is just one question. So if you happen to study a lot of the topics or just the topics under environment, it means that you are just going to be limited to answering just one question. And one question is just 20 marks out of the 60. And that is not going to help you obtain a good raw score as far as social studies is concerned. So this is going to be like an eye-opener to teachers of the subject and also candidates that are preparing to go and write these exams. So section 1, we'll start with the compulsory side. The compulsory side has environment. Now, what are the topics that are under the environment? We have some of them that cut across from basic 7. When I mention basic 7, basic 8, basic 9, I'm referring to the year 1, that is JHS 1, JHS 2, and JHS 3. So we look at basic 7, year 1. What substrands are there that you should expect that particular number 1 question, which is the compulsory question? What are the substances? So we look at environmental issues. It's very broad, so they have actually spread it across all the years. So in Form 1, you have something on sources of energy, you have sanitation issues, you talk about the meaning of environment. Perhaps that's definitely what they are going to start with. And then you look at the types of environment. It builds on to talk about some energy conservation practices, basic ones that you are supposed to know, especially what we adhere to when we are in our homes, as far as energy conservation issues are concerned. Then when you get to Form 2, you now pick the aspects of environmental pollution, where we talk about water pollution. And you have something on the causes, the effects, and measures how to control water pollution, check water pollution. Then energy conservation will also follow. And then there's a build up there where you know the importance of energy conservation. In Form 3, there's a different environmental problem that is also treated, which is air pollution. So Form 3 has air pollution, and then the energy conservation issues come. But this time, it's an upgrade of what you did in Form 2, where the teacher will have to teach you about the global trends. What are advanced countries doing? Advanced countries like UK and Germany, to also ensure that energy is properly conserved to limit emissions in the atmosphere and also reduce environmental harm or hazards. That ends environmental issues. Now let's look at mapping skills. Mapping skills is also under the environment. You definitely have a question there, if not in section A, which is the objectives. Year 1, basic 7, you learn about the skills, you know the features of a good map, importance of a map. Then you build on, look at kinds or types of maps. Then you also know about conversion of skills, as I've mentioned. Form 2, basic 8, you look at the plans that you have, school plans, community plans, that where you have to apply the measurements or the skills that you have learned and know how to calculate all those angles, drawing plot of land, where you have things like school compound, measurements, scale, they come in again. So here you are applying actually what you learned in Form 1. And they're being able to locate objects on the surface of the map, or yes, with eastings and northings and all those ones. The next one is understanding our natural world. That's abstract. Number 3, understanding our natural world. We have basic 8 and then basic 7. So you start with basic 7, where you learn about all physical features of the world: Ghana, West Africa, Africa, the world. You come to deserts, vegetation, mountains, and you get to know these important land features, especially the very key ones that are popular. So you learn about them. When you get to Form 2, there's a build-up, okay, where you talk about natural disasters. Apart from the human activities that can destroy the physical features that we are going to talk about in year 1, you also have natural disasters actually causing a lot of havoc or damage to or distraction to some of these features that we've learned in Form 1. So in Form 2, you get to know of them. Then you narrow it down to flooding, which is very common in Ghana. So you have to learn it. So as I'm mentioning, you should know whether you are actually following the right bearing or you are on track, because you don't have time and you need to cover up as soon as possible before the time comes for you to write your final exam. The next one, adolescent reproductive health. Adolescent reproductive health is one of the topics that students enjoy most, but it's just for year 1. So you talk about the physical changes, the emotional changes that take place, and you look at what we can do to promote reproductive health, chastity, then the dangers of it, the actions, the acts of adolescents that actually put them in danger or their reproductive health at risk, irresponsible adolescent behaviors, causes, effects, measures. That is where you learn that. Socialization under the strand family. So family life, family, the family, all these issues come in. So socialization, you are building up. That is also there. Population is also there. Basic 7, basic 8, basic 9. So you have these also cutting across all the levels. In year 1 under population, you talk about the meaning of population and its related terms. So you define terms like population growth rates. Then you have rapid population growth. Those terms, you need to know what they are. Then you talk about population census as well. So you discuss census issues. Then you come down to the causes of high birth rate, causes of high death rate. So look at the structure of the syllabus. You see that has been put as a small package for year 1. Then when you get to year 2, you build on structure. You now look at the structure. The structure talks about the breakdown in terms of age group, in terms of migration, inflow, and then the people coming in and out. You look at also a few calculations are there that you need to consider when you have to determine the dependency ratio. Then you have a similar thing in the final year, which is basic 9, where you also talk about the structure and then look at the effect or the causes of rapid population growth, its effects, and then possible measures that can actually check that issue. So far, we've had 6. Still under the year 1, you have self-identity. You meet it in SHS, is there in the syllabus. So this lays the foundation for you to get to know yourself, reasons why you should know yourself, what to build your self-esteem and make you become the best of yourself. You learn about terms like personality. You get to know what capability is, self-value or self-esteem. That is it. You don't have it in year 2 and year 3. Now, our natural and human resources. There's a part of human resources that you also find in year 3, but I'll place that under socioeconomic development. And you have culture and national identity. Culture and national identity is one of the key topics you should look at. It's where you study about the national symbols, the symbols, what they do, and we know they promote national unity. And because of that, why do we need the national unity? Why must we promote national unity? Bringing all ethnic groups together and people from different cultural backgrounds, religious backgrounds, and ensuring that the country have that sense of togetherness. That's where you learn all those things. Importance of the national unity, what we must do, and you have to watch out for questions that come from that area. These are the substrands under the compulsory side. So you realize that if a student picks a textbook and start reading, you are likely to have maybe 5 or 6 of them before you write a social studies paper. And most of the students, what I see them doing is that they read almost all these areas, forgetting that there are other areas that are also under the other section, and they miss that part. So that becomes problematic, because if you go there and you find questions on law and other governance issues, you'll not be able to answer, because all you've read is just under the question 1. So now let's get to the section 2. Under the section 2, you have citizenship. Okay, I've told students, use this strategy. When you observe, kindly check all the mocks you have written. The teachers can do that analysis with you, and you see the breakdown. You will notice that one question, yeah, there are 2 questions, question 2 and question 3. One question will definitely be on the current governance issues, how we are ruling ourselves now. Then you have another question on how we ruled or governed ourselves before. So the governance systems or the issues that actually took place in the past after the colonial era. So from the 1948 riots, we had the colonial governors that took over the elections, the Watson Commission, the BECE, then you have the general elections following, 51 elections, you have 54 elections, then getting to where we gained independence, power sharing issues. We had the Queen as head of state, we had Prime Minister and Nkrumah as the head of government, then, or government business, then moving into the republics. So you see that that will be given to either question 4 or question 3, mostly question 4. So you have question 3 covering topics like citizenship and human rights, which you have in Form 1 and Form 2. Form 1, you learn about the meaning, how to acquire citizenship in Ghana, who a good citizen is, that qualities of a good citizen. Then you also talk about their responsibilities. You realize that you still find responsibilities in Form 2. But Form 2, there's an upgrade. You now get to know where it is found in the Constitution, what the Constitution actually says about the responsibilities of a Ghanaian. And you look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the main one that we have tailored our Constitution to fall in line with the 30 articles that were provided by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights under the United Nations, or by the United Nations. So you look at that one. The next on that list under that section is conflict prevention and conflict management. Yes, you know, conflict issues. That is just for basic 8. You come down to the independence and nationhood. So that will be for question 4. That's the other side. And republics. The republics are 2 levels. In year 2, or the basic 8, we talk about the first republic, Nkrumah's government, and then the second republic, Ebede Kufuor and K. Ebuzia. Then that ends it. When you get to Form 3, there's a build up there where you look at the Third Republic and the Fourth Republic, the 1992, in which we are. That is what you do under the republics. The 1992 Constitution is also treated as a separate substrand also. And you look at peace and security in our nation, look at promoting democracy and political stability. So this topic is interesting. Some way it has been divided into 2. You have promoting political stability and then promoting democracy, where one side deals with the democracy issues, the features of a good democracy, the principles, okay, and then you look at the current governance system, how we are using the nature of it, and how we can promote peace. You define peace, you define security. Security measures are there. What security measures can we take, even in our schools, our workplace, in the community? You learn all these things. Then when you come down to the promoting political stability itself, there's a part where decentralization issues come in, where you start learning about the local government at the grassroots level, the district assemblies, the roles they play, the contributions. You talk about the MMDAs and then the DCs as well. These are all the things you learn under that particular section, and that ends it. Now let's move into section 3. So you realize that you have fewer topics under the section 2. When we get to the section 3, that is where you find the fewest, okay, compared to the rest. You look at human resource development, you look at financial and investment issues. These are had also been spread across the years. Basic 7, Basic 8, and Basic 9. You have something on social security, meaning of social security, the benefit and the types. That's for year 1. That's Form 1 or Basic 7. Then when you get to year 2, there's an upgrade where you look at the employer and the employee. I've treated a few of these topics. You can check my other videos and see what they entail, so you get a better understanding of them. When you look at the employer relation, you know what the employer must do to support the employee as far as the pension scheme is concerned, as the demands and the obligations. Then look at what the employee must also do. Then you move to Basic 9, Year 3. Year 3 talks about the pension scheme that we are using itself, the structure. You see how it was introduced and then the details of that. Tourism, Basic 7, you talk about the meaning of tourism, purposes, reasons why people go on tour, reasons why most Ghanaians don't show interest in tourism. Look at the economic importance of tourism and the problems as well. That I see. When you get year 2, that is Form 2 or Basic 8, there's a slight upgrade. What they add is that you still look at the various tourist sites and their locations. Then you know the economic importance of tourism. Now, there they compare Ghana and countries like Kenya, Ghana and countries like UK. They look at their tourist attractions, okay, the resources, the sceneries that they have, what they are making out, how tourism is contributing to both countries, Ghana, Kenya, or Ghana, UK, their GDP, employment issues, and how it is also raising revenue at all levels. So look at the comparison. That's the only addition that we see under year 2, which is Basic 8. We cannot teach social studies without talking about science and technology. We are in an era where technological advancement are taking over now. If we want to solve societal problems or national problems as social studies students, we need to adopt technology. And science and technology is one of the substrances that have been put there in year 3. That's Basic 9, that every social studies student. Last year, there was a question on science and technology. You get it, where they fused it with tourism. Students were asked to actually mention some technological gadgets that they would like to use on a trip. Okay, that will help them on the trip and why they think those gadgets will actually be of so much benefit to them. So they have to mention, you explain your point, you state the gadget, and you tell the usefulness of that gadget. So you see that's the critical thinking. They fuse one topic and the question will just have a way of getting intertwined with other subject areas or topics. You get it. So you should be ready for that and prepare for this. The individual in the community is one of the topics that the student also likes so much. When you look at this particular area, it gives a lot of ideas to students or even people living in the community to have a sense of belonging, and they know the role they have to play to ensure that their communities develop. We should not only leave it on our leaders, we have to be part. So you realize that there are factors that need to be present for a community to develop. So you check after the definition of the terms like community initiative, community leadership, you have community decision or decision making. You talk about the steps there as well. Then community development itself. You see the role the individual must play in the community. Then the volunteerism issues come in. What are the areas or the acts of volunteerism? Why it is so beneficial? What it can do for you as an individual and also for your community. So this wraps up the entire curriculum or the syllabus. So you have the set of topics or substance over there. So I think this has opened your eyes. When you look at it, you realize that you can't just be focusing on a few topics or read about a lot of substance, then you get to the exam and you realize that you were actually preparing for just one area or one section, and that will not help because all the sessions have questions that carry the 20 marks and they are very important. It's only under section 2 and section 3 that you can choose. So you have the topics now or the substance now. I'm sure it's going to make you prepare better and know what to do as you are going to write your next mock, and you build up from there. By the time June comes and you sit for that exam, you will come out with flying colors. Yes. Thank you for watching JCL tutorials. If you have any question relating to what I've discussed or something else, you can put it under the comment section. Student teachers, let's share ideas, help ourselves, and put our students on the right track so they can come out as the best social studies students and live with it. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.